I walked into the dry cleaner like I had done 100 times before. The little bell above the door jingled and the familiar smell of starch filled the air. Mr. Howard, the owner, greeted me with his usual polite smile. I was there to pick up my wife Emily's winter coat, a deep red one she loved. We had dropped it off last week after a dinner party where someone spilled wine on it. I gave him my ticket and he nodded, disappearing into the back room. As I waited, I glanced at the familiar walls lined with hanging bags of clothing. When he returned, he carried Emily's coat carefully wrapped in plastic. But instead of handing it over immediately, he looked at me strangely. He hesitated, his lips parting like he wanted to say something but wasn't sure. Finally he sighed and said, "I need to show you something." My stomach tightened, a cold shiver racing down my spine. He pulled out a small envelope taped to the inside pocket of the coat. "We don't normally look through pockets," he explained nervously. "But when we inspected for stains, this slipped out." He handed me the envelope and I stared at my wife's handwriting on the front. It was addressed not to me but to someone named Daniel. My pulse quickened as I slid the letter out with trembling fingers. The words blurred for a moment before they came into focus. It was a love note full of passion and secrets, things she had never said to me. My knees went weak and I gripped the counter to steady myself. "Mr. Howard," lowered his voice, "I wasn't sure if I should give this to you. But I've known you for years and I couldn't stay silent." I nodded slowly, unable to form words, my throat tight. The ride home felt endless, the letter burning in my pocket. When I arrived, Emily was in the kitchen, humming softly while cooking. She smiled when she saw the coat, but her smile faltered when she noticed my face. I placed the envelope on the counter between us. Her eyes widened instantly, color draining from her cheeks. "Where did you get that?" she whispered, her hands shaking. "From your coat pocket," I said, my voice low and heavy. She tried to speak, but no words came, only tears pooling in her eyes. "Who is Daniel?" I asked, finally breaking the silence. She sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. "Daniel is someone I knew before you," she whispered, but the story spilled further. "It wasn't just before me," she admitted. "It had continued for months after our marriage." Every word cut through me like a blade, twisting deeper with each confession. I listened, numb, my mind replaying every moment of our life together. The vacations, the anniversaries, the quiet nights, all shadowed by betrayal. When she finally fell silent, the room was heavy with shattered trust. I stood slowly, my voice shaking. "You could have told me the truth long ago." She reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance between us infinite. That night I didn't sleep, the letter lying on the table like poison. By morning I packed a bag, unable to stay under the same roof. Emily begged, pleaded, swore it was over, swore she wanted me, not him. But the image of that envelope, the handwriting, the words, it was too much. I moved into a small apartment, trying to process the wreckage. Days turned into weeks filled with silence, broken only by her messages. She sent apology after apology, letters, emails, voicemails. But I ignored them, unable to bridge the canyon between us. Finally she showed up at my door, her eyes red from crying. She handed me divorce papers, her hands trembling. "If this is what you want," she whispered, "I won't fight anymore." I stared at the papers, then at her, remembering the love we once shared. But trust once broken rarely repairs, and I signed without a word. Months later I still pass the dry cleaner sometimes. The bell jingles, the smell of starch, the memory of that day flooding back. And I realize that one forgotten envelope in a coat pocket changed everything. It destroyed a marriage, revealed secrets, and left only silence where love once lived.